very forward-thinking country, high on tech, high on AI. And when you think about what Singapore is doing, they're basically making sure that their aging population is taken care of. If you deploy sensors within the homes, they're able to detect if a senior citizen falls. Like an average household speaks 4 different languages. If a senior falls, that system has to detect all the languages that is being spoken in Singapore.
Hey everyone, my name's Jay Cornby. I'm sitting here with Andor, one of the co-founders of Vosyn, and I thought it'd be great to sit down with him and have a conversation as they're about to embark on a roadshow across Dubai and throughout Asia, and love to just kind of pick your brain on what you guys are hoping to achieve as you go on that trip.
Hey, Jay, always a pleasure sitting with you. You're absolutely right. Brian, our president, is going on a road trip, and it's all investor related and impact related. And I think for those who are listening to this discussion with us, I think it's probably important for me to kind of get a little into who Vosyn is. I mean, correct?
Correct.
So, we are solving a 30-year-old problem. So the internet by nature has been treating translation as a find and replace word activity. What happens in that process is that the person itself is lost, context is lost, content is lost, intent is lost, emotions, tone, and even cultural nuances is lost.
Yeah.
And Vosyn, we decided to build a foundation large language model. And this is built on a very core principle of preservation. And if you think about language, we are moving away from the internet browser that's been 30 years old, and we're creating this experience engine. And with that experience engine, we are breaking down what we call the last frontier of language barrier. And for the first time ever, we're going to have every single person around the world being understood and being present.
It's exciting.
Yeah,
It's
I
really
think so.
exciting.
I think so.
So one of the stops on this road trip is Singapore. I'd love to talk to you a little bit about Singapore because I think it's like a really interesting country, and there's a lot of interesting things that they're implementing there in the AI space, and love to get kind of some of your thoughts on it.
Yeah. Very forward-thinking country.
Yeah.
High on tech, high on AI. And the beauty of this is that when we got into this as Vosyn, we did not want to just create a product that was super cool and super sexy.
Yeah.
We wanted a product that really had impact, social impact. And when you think about what Singapore is doing with their Smart Nation initiative, they're basically making sure that their aging population is taken care of. And here's what I mean. If you deploy sensors within the homes, they're able to detect if a senior citizen falls.
Yeah.
That senior is able to communicate through their digital system for help.
Yeah.
But here comes the challenge, Jay. The challenge is, if you think about how Singapore actually is, you have like an average household speaks 4 different languages. Okay? You've got one person speaking Mandarin. You've got someone else is speaking Tamil. You've got Malay. You got someone speaking English.
Yep.
So you're going to have to make sure, as the government has to make sure, that the applications that they're developing, if a senior falls and cries for help, that system has to detect not just those 4 languages,
Yep.
I would say that,
Yep.
but all the languages that is being spoken in Singapore. And again, this doesn't lead to a rounding error if it's misinterpreted, this could be a life or death situation. With Vosyn, we are building a product that speaks near and dear to this initiative. And should we partner with the Singapore government or agencies within Singapore, we're able to utilize the Vosyn technology. So when, God forbid, that something happens to a senior and they cry out for help, they're being understood in their native tongue. Their dialect is being understood. The intent is being understood. And that's why we talked the difference between translation and localization.
I think I read that their aging population by 2030, most people will be over 65, or a huge proportion of their citizens will be. And, they're creating things like stay well programs, which are really trying to like care for this older generation.
Yeah.
It's such an important initiative with so many people who maybe not speak the language that these programs are, originally built in. I think it's like really exciting and really interesting in a way that technology is blending with a population who does not hasn't grown up with technology.
You know what actually lifts off the page when it comes to this initiative for me is how they actually respect their elderly. I just love that. It's not you get old and you get kicked out into a home and you stay there. They're looking at ways where they can still have that connection between their elderly population because it's core to their cultural values. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Like you have people that are post 65. The tech savviness is not as a Gen Z or a millennial or even you and I, right? Yeah. So the ability to give them the comfort to say you can still communicate in your native tongue and be as effective as a 14-year-old that understands tech and may speak English or proficient in a different language. You were able to speak in your own tongue using Vosyn and be comfortable as an elderly person. And the loneliness factor is removed because we're making communication personal and human once again. And I just want to go a little further, Jay. Think of an elderly person in Singapore, okay? And maybe they have a great-grandchild that's living in Canada or the U.S. Yeah. And that grandchild, as you know, a lot of these young folks, they don't learn their native tongue. They haven't had that ability to communicate effectively. They need maybe the parent have to translate between grandchild or great-grand and the grandparent who's living in Singapore. With Vosyn, we're not just bridging relationships within Singapore, but even outside of Singapore, those grandparents that may have great-grands that are throughout the Western world, so to speak, have the ability to have video calls and voice calls using the Vosyn's tech. And you can speak in English and they will hear you in their native tongue, and they will be able to be comfortable speaking in their native tongue and have a relationship with their grandchild or great-grand. That's kind of what we're looking for.
That's exciting. That's super exciting.
100%.
Something we were talking about off camera was, and I want to bring it up now, is that in Singapore, you have Sinhalese, which is a blend of Singapore language and English and all of these kind of languages combined, and it's very unique to Singapore. And some people think that it's a rounding error and shouldn't be there. I personally think that it's like part of Singapore's culture. And
there's so many languages today that have gone extinct. So many cultures have been assimilated because it's been an English-first world. Okay? And one of the things that Brian, my co-founder, and I, before we began to do Vosyn, was we said, you know what, we want to be able to help preserve cultures. We want to help to preserve people identity. We wanted a people first solution and platform. And when I hear of these initiatives that are happening around the world, and particularly in Singapore as we talk, Vosyn just really can help truly accelerate these initiatives by bridging not just language, but relationships and preserving people's natural language so it never goes extinct. Because if you look at modern systems, and this is true, and I'm speaking to the audience now, if you look at the modern systems of technology, it's forcing you to actually adapt to their framework. Okay? Vosyn puts the user back in the driver's seat. So the world's content and how you access it and how you consume it becomes driven by you versus you trying to conform to a system. So the domino effect or the benefit of such a thing is that cultures are being preserved.
We're not trying to force everyone to just speak
Absolutely.
English.
No. So you can keep your native tongue, and that would last forever and a day, hopefully, if Vosyn is part of the picture. And this is why this is so super exciting. And we've looked at Singapore, and that's why we are visiting, because we think there's definitely value in sitting down with government agencies, sitting down with technology companies, sitting down with impact investors, sitting down with the media, and really trying to get a better together story. Because I think if we look at people first, we're able to solve a lot of these world issues.